Hi, my name is Sierra Carr, and today I will be presenting the foster care crisis and I will be identifying the problems and potential solutions. The foster care system is meant to provide care to children who have experienced a variety of different circumstances that have caused for them to be removed from the home temporarily or permanently. There are plenty of scenarios where foster care has provided a favorable outcome for many families and children, but oftentimes there are many stories of children who continue to suffer through foster care. From the 1960s through present day, thousands of children have been entered into the foster care system. By the 1990s, there were over 500,000 children in the United States foster care system. The children who entered into the system at this time were younger and experiencing more distress. These children were more likely to engage in criminal behaviors and sexual abuse while being present in the system. The reason why these children were more likely to engage in these activities were because they weren't being placed with intentions of them being reunified or with intentions of them staying long term. They were just being placed anywhere. So, therefore, I think a lot of their criminal behaviors stemmed from them acting out, maybe like a cry out for help. At the bottom right, there are some statistics showing different factors as to why children enter into the foster care system. 62% experienced neglect, 36% experienced parent substance abuse, 14% dealt with parents who were unable to properly parent, and 13% dealt with physical abuse. And this is a chart showing other factors that relate to why children are removed from their homes. In the red, you have neglect. In the yellow, you have drug abuse, parent drug abuse. Um, you have caretaker inability to cope in the green. You have physical abuse in the blue, housing in the royal blue, child behavior problems in the pink, parent incarceration in the orange, alcohol abuse in the green, abandonment in the teal, and sexual abuse in the purple. So there are many flaws within the foster care system that cause for a lot of the children to undergo the circumstances in which they do. Today, there are over 700,000 children who are experiencing circumstances that may cause them to possibly have to enter into the system, which are the factors like neglect, abuse that we discussed when we were discussing the statistics. So many systems across the nation have had systems in place that have overall failed to provide the minimum standards of safety for the children who have entered into the foster care systems. The majority of these systems have contributed to the long term harm to a child's development because they continue to bounce them from placement to placement without giving the child the proper care that they need. And a lot of these placements are temporary, and therefore they don't get quite adjusted before it's time to go to the next one, or they don't get adjusted before an incident happens and they have to go to the next one. So therefore the child can't fully develop as an adolescent, just due to being constantly bounced around. Many foster care children reach adulthood and they don't have any permanent legal family, and once they reach adulthood they don't have anywhere to go. They're just kind of out in the world because they haven't ever been permanently adopted, so they kind of are on their own once they age out of the foster care system. There are many child welfare. Also, another flaw is that the child welfare staff consists of the judges, the caseworkers, the social workers, and the guardian ad litem, and so all those people work together on one case, and they oversee different parts of the case, and two people could be working on the same parts of a case, and two people could be working on another part of a case, and many different components of a child's case may get overlooked. So therefore, you can't properly place a child when you aren't looking at every component that goes into why this child is even being placed into the foster care system. And another result of the system flaws are that many children experience health concerns as a result of foster care. So a lot of children have physical health concerns, mental health concerns, and emotional health concerns that don't necessarily get addressed prior to being placed, and they don't get addressed while being in placement. And this is a chart, basically like a bar graph, listing out different factors such as foster care referrals accepted for investigation, allegations of harm, neglect, and abandonment. And so the years are from 2015 to 2020, last year. So you can see that the foster care referrals have increased. Well, each factor has pretty much increased from 2015 to 2020. Um, but there has also, I guess, notably been an increase in the allegations for harm and neglect and abandonment. So I say about 1,100 would be the max. So there are some notable interventions in the foster care system that have been put in place to try to improve. First, you have the Family First Prevention Services Act. So this act was put in place to improve the quality of care for the children within the system, and also provide a variety of placement options who are for children who are suffering from mental, physical, and behavioral health issues. The second is the Adoption and Safe Families Act of 1997. This act was signed into law by President Bill Clinton at the time. The intentions were to promote adoption and home permanency for children, so the children will have the opportunity to develop fully as an adolescent without constantly being bounced around. And it made it a point, this act made a point to be concerned with the health and safety of the child. As you know, if we look back to the previous slides, we discussed how the health and safety, sometimes the system had dropped the ball on the health and safety of the child because all components of the case aren't being looked at as a whole. And so we don't want to just make a point about reunification, because it's important that children are able to reunify with their families, but it's not always the best thing when children have experienced prior abuse and neglect. Let me go back. And then the last notable intervention was that there was in one of my sources, it was discussed that there had been a systematic review on interventions in the foster care. So, like, a brief summary is that a review was conducted in order to assess the effects and side effects of foster care. 18 interventions for improving the impacts were reviewed for foster care children. 5,357 children were studied, and the results showed that 8 out of the 18 interventions could be improved. So therefore, there have been plenty of interventions implemented to try to help improve the foster care system, but the foster care system needs improvement, and also some of those interventions need improvement as well. We just want to see, I guess the goal of the study was just to see which interventions could be improved, and also figure out which interventions would be superior to continue to be put to use over the years. Some of the solutions that I feel would be beneficial were to be were to option what were to offer more options for placement for children who are experiencing a variety of different health problems. Not having multiple child welfare staff oversee the same parts of a particular case, so divide the work amongst the different staff and parts, to ensure that a child is adequately placed. Um, and the last solution would be to continue to improve intervention. And the last page is my references.